Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking on the topic of AI and tech career inspiration. So first, we have Ganesh joining us. He's an advisor at Teams in AI. He brought over 20 years of professional experience successfully managing complex humanitarian international development and global health programs with the United Nations and international NGOs. Ganesh has traveled extensively, 66 countries across 6 continents, and enjoys meeting people and learning about cultures. He will talk about the growth mindset, what it is and why it matters, as well as share his own personal journey and experience. So I hope everyone enjoys the talk, and Ganesh, you can get started.
Thank you very much. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. I know it's a global one. People are from various parts of the world. To start with, I can say where I am right now. I'm right now in Geneva, in Switzerland, where I've come for week-long meetings, various meetings with different UN organizations, looking at some of the interesting issues around the climate, innovation, and also focusing on biodiversity. So we are finishing up our meeting, and tomorrow is the last day, and then I'll be returning back to my base. So what I will be sharing with you, it's more a conversation rather than me walking through a big presentation. It's a dialogue, so please, I want to hear your thoughts, question me, challenge me, and also share your experiences. So for me to start with, I just want to say there are no failures. It's all about discovery, just discovering how it goes. So that's how I see the whole growth mindset as a journey. But before we get into the growth mindset as a topic, maybe we can spend a minute and maybe you could share your thoughts or what's coming to your mind in the chat box. According to you, what is a growth mindset? So maybe we can spend 30 to 60 seconds to hear your thoughts around what's coming to your mind on growth mindset.
Alternatively, guys, if you raise your hand, we can ask you via voice if you're comfortable with that as well.
I see. Ability to solve problems. Fantastic. Solve problems. See each challenge as an opportunity for learning. I love that. Yeah. That's why we are here today, about learning from each other. Okay, so maybe in a growth mindset, people believe that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. Yes, very interesting. Okay, so from my view, what I would like to start with, what is a growth mindset? So going back to it, what a couple of you have shared. So when we believe our intelligence and abilities can be developed, it's about learning and it's about how we can improve ourselves. And also looking at from a motivation in terms of, how can we practice, how could we create a culture of curiosity, and also what are the right strategies which will help us to build our motivation. The next area is really looking at the willingness to confront challenges as an opportunity, and which is coming from our belief in terms of, looking at failures as not as a setback, but maybe looking at failures as an opportunity to learn. And the last one, in my view, what I see it is a passion for learning and also using failures as an opportunity to grow in terms of looking at how can I grow and what could I do. So the second one, I want to ask you, are you able to see my screen? So why it is important? So as a human being, on every situation, we evaluate ourselves. Some of the questions which come to my mind, including me, I've faced it various times. Will I succeed or will I fail? Will I look smart or am I looking dumb? Will I be accepted by this set of people or am I going to be rejected by this set of people? What am I going to feel if I'm going to be a loser? Will I win it? So that's how the questions we look at it. And when every situation, whether it is at your work, whether it is at your home or in your playground, or any situation, generally these questions do come up. But when you have developed this growth mindset, every situation you will start looking at learning. What am I going to learn from this one? An opportunity to grow. I'm here and here is an opportunity. I'm going to find something and that's going to make me grow. The second one is able to acknowledge your weakness. One person doesn't have everything. You might not have everything, but is able to look at it in a way to embrace the weakness and able to grow from there, rather than saying that I can't do it and I'm not able to do it. And also looking at from a learning perspective rather than seeking approval. So every situation you wait there and say, am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be rejected? Instead of that, no, I'm here to learn. I'm just going to go for it. The last one for me is really, really closer, and which has helped me over a period, time and again. And when I talk to other people at my workplace, my friends, and also from people, is around how do you get inspired from the success of others. So when your friend, your colleague, or the people who come across in your life, when you are able to see their success, what that could inspire you, how you are able to move forward. So the next 5 to 7 minutes, I'm going to share with you my personal journey in terms of how some of these situations have really helped me to look for learning opportunities, took challenges as an opportunity to learn, and also inspired to be where I am today, and then continue to get inspired at the end of the conversation from you. So as a growth mindset, as a part of the motivation, I touched on motivation. We all have two sets of motivation. So one is eccentric motivation, which is about, I want to earn more. I want to be always called as I'm the superstar, how much money I can get it, and what are the opportunities I can do, whether I could buy a flat, whether I could travel. Those are the ones which generally motivate. Everybody has that piece. And within that, you do have something very special, which is intrinsic, which comes from your heart, which connects your heart and your brain to look at something beyond those practical things around earning money, going to this big school, or able to wear a fancy clothes and able to do that. But something touches a little bit more further, which drives you into beyond to their motivation. So from my personal journey, I think our colleagues gave a brief background about me. In my personal journey, as you know, that I've been going around the world for 20 years, working for UN and other organizations, mainly in the areas of finance, business, and operations. And that's been what happening. In 2017, there was a big curiosity struck me, which I've been following through the whole notion about innovation, the whole notion around learning, what is this innovation is all about? What are the different ways people are doing it? In that journey, I had an opportunity to meet with Elena Sinner, who is the founder, the brain behind the Teens in AI. We met in early 2018 when she came over to Geneva for attending a conference, and she spoke about the whole notion of hackathon. And when she mentioned about hackathon, I was like, hackathon? What do you mean by hackathon? Hack is not a very interesting word. You're hacking something. Is it a negative connotation? What are we talking about? And then she walked me through what her vision about the hackathon and how Teens in AI is using hackathon as a platform to bring about learning and a new form of learning opportunity. So I was like, from a very fixed mindset, like hackathon is all the IT people and all those people do, but it's not for somebody. And then you can see there is a picture below me, below my beautiful profile picture. You can see I'm standing in front of, I don't know how many people. This was a live event. So I had an opportunity to attend a startup event in Paris, organized by Vivatech, by all the top tech companies and TechCrunch. I went for a 2-year official visit to meet with startup companies representing my office. And then as I went there, I got an alert, email alert, and also people standing there saying, hey, we are going to host hackathon, sponsored by 3 or 4 tech companies. And we are also looking for people who wants to be part of it. And something went in my mind and said, hackathon. Do you think I should go and put my name forward? Oh, no, this is not my cup of tea. I'm like 40 years old. What am I going to do? I'm representing a workplace. I'm old. No. This is not me. But then a few minutes later, something in me created a curiosity and said like, okay, let me go and see to this part of the Vivatech conference and explore what does that mean. So I took courage. I don't know what was there in that moment. So I walked around and went there and I spoke to the folks from IBM. I asked them to explain, hey, what's happening? What does this whole hackathon mean? And he said, it's a 2-day, 48 hours. You put forward your problems, you pull together a team, and then come up with a solution, and that's it. And they said, oh, that sounds really easy. That's cool. But then I can't be there for 2 days because I need to go tomorrow morning. And they said, like, it's up to you. It's purely voluntary. And see. And then the second question came into my mind was, I'm not good at it. I don't have a team. I've not formed this as a part of the journey. So what do I do? And then they said, when we kick off this afternoon, people will be given an opportunity to come forward and do a 1-minute pitch to all the participants. And then they can put together the team. If people like their idea, they can go for it. That was a very courageous moment. So I said, okay, well, let me do that. Then I go there at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then suddenly I see that the whole auditorium has almost like 200, 300 people, all sorts of people with computers, gadgets, and ideas and teams coming in fully prepared. And then here I am with my laptop bag, walking around in a business suit and trying to see, am I in the wrong place? What am I trying to do? And then the 1 minute came forward. So I had some ideas in terms of the area that I was working on the global health issues. And then I stood up, I got my courage, and I pitched my idea. And I said to them, listen, I'm here. I'm from this organization, and I work in the space of malaria. And I have this idea, but I don't know whether the technology could solve. But here is my 1 minute idea. I don't have a team. I'm not a techie. I'm not a designer, but I have this idea. If anyone is interested, I'm going to sit there. Please come and talk to me. So I finished my 1 minute pitch, and then all the people who had a pitch, they did it. And then I was sitting on the corner, and I could see people are all forming teams in the next 30 minutes. And then I was just sitting there, and I was like, okay, I'm a failure. I don't think my idea is too good, so let me leave. But as I was about to pack my bags, and suddenly there were 2 people who came to me and said, you are that person who is working for the UN organization, spoke about malaria, right? I said, yeah. Can you explain a little bit more? I'm a coder. Maybe I can help you with. And then we started talking. And 5 minutes later, there were 2 other people who said, well, I work on wireframes and designs, and I have that background. I like your concept, even though I'm not into it, but I know the issue of malaria because I had a malaria once, so I'm happy to be part of it. So like that, we all started becoming like talking and doing it, and we were able to put together a team. And it started, and time was passing. We were continuing it, and I couldn't believe that we ended up spending the whole night building our idea. And next day, early morning, we all went back and start doing that. At the end of the day, I changed my flight ticket to go back to Geneva. And then I was told that I need to pitch in front of everyone. And that's my picture. You can see, and the clip is there in my LinkedIn. If you follow me, you can have a look at it. And that was a 3-minute pitch of looking at developing an app. It was more a prototype. I was able to present it. Quite nervous, but it went viral. Even my family saw it. My son was like, what are you doing there? You're going YouTube on live. So it was quite an interesting journey. So from where I am and where I went in. And at the end of it, I felt like I was able to learn. It was not just about my kind of the journey, but I was able to look back and see what are the things I did differently. How did I overcome the fear of standing up in front of 200 people, putting forward that idea, where I thought I'm going to be one of those person who doesn't know why I'm here. I'm not a coder, but I overcome that, saying that I have an idea, I'm looking for people, and how are you able to do. And throughout the days, I started learning new jargons with colleagues, which I'm not familiar with. IBM Watson, wireframe, design thinking. These are things which I've never heard of, or I would have come across in some articles, but that's something became my interesting concept. You might think that stopped there. Well, actually, no. So after the hackathon, I come back excited with this video, and I was able to share it with my work colleagues. And I said, well, I really like this concept of so-called the hackathon. It's helping you to solve the problem. You bring in people from different parts of it. It's not just only about solving the problem, but also it helps you to learn. It helps you to identify your own weaknesses. It's able to co-create and come up with the new ideas and new process. And that became created an opportunity within my own office to start talking about, hey, why are we doing this in this particular way? Can we do it differently? What does it mean for looking for a new idea, rather than saying this is how we have done the process always? So really creating the say, how could we do things differently, which led to me in developing some innovative ways where we started investing money on global health projects. And that was after 12 months being there. Then the curiosity in me really developed, kind of looking forward a little bit more. Then I became a mentor and I got invited to join one of the hackathons and I joined as a mentor. Then slowly I became an advisor there, and it didn't stop there. And then it carried on in terms of pushed me to say, I need to do more. That whole curiosity, the learning interest came in. And then I enrolled myself to do executive master's program while I'm going through the pandemic, working 24/7 with the family and contributing to my own 2 cents into the world of global health. I went through the journey. First thing came up like, am I going to, is it the age for me to go and do another master's? Somewhere in me, it's like, no, let me give a shot. Let me try. And then that journey took me and helped me to look for new skills, which I didn't have it, and able to solve those problems. And also it gave me a lot of confidence during the journey to see what can I do differently. And I mentioned about it, like, one of the ways to look at growth mindset is also learning from success of others. During this time, I met few people who have taken a different path to where they wanted to go. My colleagues at my workplace, my colleagues and peers at the HEC program who have come from different walks of life, and also my own wife. She is a very successful digital marketer, and she decided to venture into the entrepreneur journey. And the pathway, what she was doing, that gave me an opportunity to say, hey, I can learn from her. I'm able to do things differently. So that took me on. And in that journey, I'm doing something completely unconventional to what I am trained or what I have been doing for many years, is to take up a role in New York and working at the UN head office to do something on designing a new investment, new funds, looking at how that could bring a bigger change in achieving the 2030 SDG agenda. And now I'll be graduating in Paris in June 2022 in 11. So these are some of the things I'm sharing with you. Something I thought, the same questions, what I shared with you earlier, is saying, I'm not good at it. I'm going to give up. I'm not good enough. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. And I'm never going to be smart in dealing all of those ones. But then turning into it in terms of looking at what am I missing? How can I do things differently? How could this help me to improve always? And also the whole notion around in terms of how can we learn these things in a much different manner. And the one last part before I stop here, I wanted to share it with you is something which we train our brain. A lot of things which I learned during the process is as we are young, our brain kind of picks up the patterns in which how we are used to it, the certain type of molds, what we have seen in their life, certain types of functions, what we have done at our home, the way how we have come up. And it's about training your brain to do and accept things differently so that you are able to come out of the mold. Just wanted to share one personal anecdote here. And this is something which is very closer to my heart. And also recently I shared in my LinkedIn in terms of how do you learn different things and how do you train your brain. This is from my daughter, who's 7 years old now, but when she was 4 years old, I remember having a conversation and she came running to me and said like, Papa, I'm going to become a doctor. I said, great, when I grow up. And then 2 minutes later and said, I'm going to be a policeman. I said like, okay, that's great. And a minute later, she said, I want to be a pilot. I said like, okay, that's good. And then she said, I'm going to become an artist. And then the way I am trained or how my brain works in a very traditional mold, and said, I looked at her and said, those are all interesting professions, but one cannot become everything. And then my daughter looked at me and she started laughing at me like, ha ha ha. And as I looked at her, like, say, what are you telling me? Appa, it's very simple. Maybe you don't understand it. I said like, okay, can you explain to me? I said, I can become everything I want. All I have to do is I have to go to a costume shop and buy all the costumes and I can wear it and I can become a pilot. I can become a policewoman. I can become a doctor and I can also become an artist. So it's very simple. So that was an interesting kind of brain challenging one, which challenged me to think about my own mold in terms of how I have grown up, what I have seen, and how my brain thinks about it. And I said, maybe she's right. At the age of 4, she doesn't have to think that, okay, when I grow, this is the only thing I need to do. but her brain is looking at all kind of possibilities. But somewhere me, as we grow up, we get mold ourselves and we get into the framework saying this is how people have done and this is how things work. So one of the big takeaways for me in my own journey, when I look at the growth mindset, when we look at it, is how we are going to train our brain in terms of looking for information, in terms of understanding that information, and also in terms of how do we learn from that so that we are able to move away from the traditional mold. Let me stop here. And these are some of the experiences and examples from my personal life. But as I mentioned, that it's not just a talk, it's also a discussion and a conversation. So I would like to open the floor now to hear from you in terms of your personal experience, and also if you've got any questions, and also if you want to add on something what I have just shared, or even if you want to challenge me in the experience, in the way how I view growth mindset. Maybe we can spend 5 minutes. I don't know, moderators, how much time we have got?
Yes, we've got to wrap it up shortly. We've just got a couple of questions come in. So we've got one from Bianca here. So how do you motivate yourself after succeeding in anything?
That's a very good question. It's a continuous learning process, right? So we always feel like, we know everything or we have achieved it. But it's a lifelong journey in terms of doing it. So one of the things which I would like to say here, this was my final slide, and probably I can share this with you as you ask the question. It's a long road ahead, not a path in front of us. Again, it's about the journey, what we are in the lifelong journey, and not a destination. So the success is like small destinations where we count on. Some of the things what I showed with you, at the front of it, those are small destinations, but my lifelong journey is still evolving. So you keep learning from everything what you do to see, what did I learn today? What is that helping me to do? And how do you build the curiosity? And from there, you find your motivation to move forward.
Perfect. We've got one from someone here in the chat. What would you have done if these two people hadn't shown up after the pitch? Great question.
That's a great question. I will be very honest. I would have, knowing me, I would have walked around and joined some other team and tried to find out what they are doing so that I'm able to learn it and see what is one thing I could have done, do it differently if I get an opportunity next time around. That's what I would have done.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us for your amazing talk today. We hope that you enjoyed it. We've got Renee up next. Renee, I believe you're here already.
Thank you so much, Ganesh.
No problem, pleasure. And thank you so much. And the slides will be available for you. And also you can reach out to me if you've got any ideas or any questions or any follow-up. I'm available, and I'm part of Teams in AI as involved, and looking forward to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.